After watching this video, you will never confuse Korean formality levels of speech again. I put together a chart to show you that absolutely saved my life years ago. It seriously saved me years of confusion. Realizing it in such simple terms changed my Korean language learning journey forever, and I can't wait to share this with you because I think it's going to do the same for you. So let's hop in. So here is the most basic fundamental level of what you need to grasp to understand this. This character is she, right, that we use when we're talking about someone who we want to show respect to. So this is going to be the difference between hada and hashida. Like if you've heard heyo versus haseo, whether or not you add this she is going to depend entirely on who you're talking about. That's the subject of the sentence. And which ending you choose to put on the end of the verb is dependent entirely on who you're talking to. It's the person and it's the situation. So that's where these endings like 요 and 비읍니다, 습니다 come in. This right here is the basis. Now I'm going to show you another chart right here that I put together to hopefully really clear things up with some examples. So again, on top here we have who you're talking about. So it's either someone you need to show respect to or someone you can speak about more casually. And then we have who you're talking to or the situation you're in. And that's going to vary from informal, polite, and formal. There are some other forms, but these are definitely the most common day-to-day ones that you'll see in here. So we're going to use the verb hada as the basis, right, or hashida depending on whether it's casual or respectful. So let's start on this casual side here, and this is who you're talking about. So let's imagine that I'm talking about a friend of mine, and I don't need to show respect to my friend, at least not in the honorific sense, right? I can talk about them casually because we're at like the same social level roughly. Now who you're talking to and the situation you're in is what's going to impact the sentence ending that we're going to use. So if we're going to go for informal, then you're talking to someone who you can speak informally with. So let's pretend it's another friend. I'm talking to a friend about another friend. In this case, I could say he, because both the person I'm talking to, my friend, and the person I'm talking about, my other friend, casual, informal. You don't need any ending. It's called panmai, right? The most informal level of speech. I can use panmai in that situation to the person I'm speaking to. Now we're going to move on to polite. And now again, we're still talking about a friend, so we don't need the she. The person I'm talking about is still casual, but let's pretend now I'm speaking to a coworker where you don't have to be excessively formal, but also you need to be polite. That's where we're going to introduce the ending yu, and this is called 존댓말. So very simple. Heyo. Okay, now we're in a formal situation. Maybe we're talking to our boss. And I guess we could still be talking about our friend, but that seems like a slightly unusual case scenario. So maybe we can change it to we're talking about ourselves, right? Because we can definitely talk casually about ourselves. You would never use this she character with a sentence in which you are the subject. That would definitely come off very interesting. One may say a little self-absorbed, but a joke, of course. I don't think anyone ever does that. That would be really funny if they did. So let's just say we're talking about ourselves to our boss. Then we could say 합니다. Right, now that that's down, let's get into the respectful category. Let's say you're talking about your boss. So this is someone that you need to show respect to. That's where we're going to change from hada to hashida. No matter who you're talking to, you still have to show that same respect for your boss who you're talking about. How dare the light go off on me. So now, informal situation, right? Let's say I'm talking to my friend about my boss though, right? So the situation is informal, but the person requires respect. So panmai, but I would say 하셔. Alright, next scenario. Let's pretend we're talking to a coworker again. So we're speaking politely, but we're still speaking about our boss who needs that same respect. So we're working from 하시다 in this case, in which we would say 하세요, which I'm sure you're familiar with from certain basic set expressions like 안녕하세요, right? The way you say hello politely. Alright, now if we take an example of formal and showing respect, we can maybe switch up the scenario, but again, because it might be a little bit uncommon to just say a statement about your boss to your boss, right? Maybe you'd be asking a question or talking about yourself in this formal speech. But let's say maybe you're giving a television broadcast and you mention your boss there. Then you're in a formal situation, right? And you need to show respect to the person you're talking about, so you would say 하십니다. Your boss does something. So there's a little introductory basic breakdown to the way that formal speech works in Korean and the situations in which you change up the grammar and how you go through the logical process of deciding which one to use.